Hi, I'm Joyce Harper, and I want to welcome you to season 4 of my podcast, Why Didn't Anyone Tell Me This? Together with expert guests and those with lived experiences, we will give you some tools to empower you to live a life of good health and happiness. Hi, everyone. We are doing a special podcast edition for International Women's Day because all of us brilliant women on this podcast today are taking part in the big swim. So we wanted to do a podcast about why women swim. And I'm joined today already with Nicky, Heather, and Tash. But we are also going to be joined by Jo Moseley, who's on a bus at the moment, and she's going to be joining us very soon, which could be havoc, but it will be fun. So I wanted to start with letting everyone introduce themselves and telling you why they particularly swim in our very lovely cold waters in the UK. So let's start with Nicky. Nicky, tell us about yourself.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. I'm Nicky Chisholm. I live in Brighton with my boys and my husband and my cat and my gorgeous camper van. I organise events, I write blogs, and I organise the big swim. But going back to your question, I think I've always loved the water. I've got a really amazing photograph which I can see in my head. It was taken of me and my dad. I had a yellow canoe when I was about 3 years old. And I think that's the start of my visual journey that I can see why I've always loved water. And I'm 54, so that's like 50 years ago. And I still remember that photo. And it will stay with me forever. And my love of water's continued. And now I'm doing fun things with it. And I'm combining all the things I love, women, adventures, sport, activities, and putting them all together into the big swim, which is how I met you guys.
You've put all my favourite things together. Fantastic. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Heather. Now, Heather's been on my podcast before, but Heather, tell us a little bit about yourself and water.
Hi, my name's Heather Massey. I work at the University of Portsmouth in the Extreme Environments Laboratory. So we like to make people hot, cold, or low in oxygen for research purposes only. And we do rewarm people and get people normal again afterwards. Again, fairly similar to Nicky. I had to start learning to swim because my dad had a dinghy and he wanted us all to go sailing with him. So it's really important that we learned to swim. And I actually preferred being in the water to on the water. So again, I've been lucky enough most of my life to be close to water that's swimmable outside and have continued in that vein ever since.
Fantastic. I love the name of your lab, and I tell people I want to work there. And I'm really glad you heat everyone up again or cool them down, whatever extreme exposure you put them to. I love it. So, Tasha, welcome and tell us a bit about yourself.
Hello, so I'm Tash Sones. I live in Suffolk, right by the sea, with my 3 children, 3 dogs, and a husband. I'm an adventures writer and author. I've just written my first book about wild swimming. And I was drawn to the sea. So I've always swum in the sea because I live near the coast, but I always thought it was just something you did on holiday until I moved to a more rural location and suddenly discovered that people do it all year round. So I joined these crazy people, and now there's nothing more I love more than chucking myself into an icy river or sea of some kind.
Brilliant. And I will ask Jo the same question once Jo arrives. I'm going to tell you why I do it. So I'm. I think everyone knows I'm Joyce Harper, professor at UCL in reproductive health, and I do a lot of work on women's health. And I went to a school where we only just did our 25 meters, and that was it. We didn't have very good swimming lessons. But I've just been one of these people that every time I was anywhere near water, I had to jump in it, come rain or shine. And in more recent years, I've done it quite religiously, try to go swimming at least once a week. I live really far from, well, at least not really far, but at least half an hour from water at the moment. But Nicky, I want to move to Brighton.
You're very welcome. There's lots of sea, there's lots of fun. And I think whoever you are, you will find your niche in Brighton, age, fun, adventures, activities, music. It's really good. I think you could just find, there's a lot of niches here. And I think, you love the sea swimming niche. So, I mean, you just it's tons. You'll have plenty of opportunities. Yeah. And I'll buy you fish and chips on the pier as a starter.
I can eat that. I definitely. Actually, while we're talking about Brighton, Nicky, tell us what the big swim is. Tell us what's going to happen in Brighton, and also in the other location, Dorset, is it?
Yes.
That weekend for International Women's Day. Tell us about that now.
So, yeah, the big swim was an idea I made up in the middle of the night about 4 years ago. And I thought, I'm just going to make this happen and see what happens. So I set up a Facebook event, invited loads of people, and it just took off. So the first year we had 250 people. The second year we had 500 people. The third year we had 1,000 people, and this is the fourth year, but I can't double it again this year because we have insurance parameters. But the big swim, the idea behind it was to combine all the things that I love. So living in Brighton, swimming, women, community, and Surfers Against Sewage. So the whole idea is it's on March the 14th. It's to celebrate International Women's Day, which is held every year on March the 8th all across the world, and it unites women and the many campaigns and projects across the world and highlights those. So I wanted to bring women together for International Women's Day, raise money for Surfers Against Sewage. So £2 of every ticket goes to Surfers Against Sewage. The rest goes to actually running the event. And the idea is, and it has worked the last few years, and it honestly will fill your heart with glee. And I know Tash was with me last year. It does really fill your heart with glee. It's bonkers, it's feral, it's bright, it's sparkly, it's fun. It's just full of women just in a really relaxed state. You're not worried about what you look like. You're not worried about what you're wearing, because it's really feral. And people are dressed up as crabs and octopuses and seaweed. Tash always wears a lovely garland on her head. It's just full of absolute fun. And if we could bottle the sound of 1,000 women entering the water at the same time, us 4, and with Jo 5, we'd be multi-millionaires. So if we can, Heather, if you can work out how to do that in your university lab, we'd be millionaires. It's a really good feeling. And people come for many reasons. They come because they're sad, because they're happy, because it's a goal. They're stepping out of their comfort zone. They're celebrating something. They're marking something. They're grieving. There's many stories behind 500 women and all their families and friends that are there. And it's a real menagerie, but everyone goes home with the same feeling. Their heart is just really full. And initial there and you take part, it does sound a bit of nonsense. Tash, will you back me up on that? It's got that power.
Tash, let us know. What's your view?
So last year was my first time attending. Wasn't really sure what to expect, but from the moment that I saw all these women gathered on the beach, and then we had a little briefing from Nicky and some dance tunes, and everyone was getting in the vibe. And I've never seen so many colourful costumes and wigs and sparkles. And yeah, just getting in the water, there was a lot of screaming because it is still fairly chilly in March, but just a lot of whooping and laughter. And I am already working on my swim turban flower themed hat for this year, as is Jo, I believe.
I would expect nothing less from you, Tash.
I'll get on that as well. Heather, are you going to wear a hat with flowers on?
Great question. I do a lot of long distance swimming, so I just wanted to check that the event was for everybody to take part. So people that just want to dip their toe, people that want to do a little bit longer. I just checked that it's a dip for everybody.
Yeah, everyone's welcome. Obviously, it's predominantly, I mean, the idea is celebrating International Women's Day, but we all need allies, we need support, we need family, we need love. So it is open. The only problem you'll get is getting a ticket because they sell out like hotcakes. It sells out every year. So that's the only sort of parameter. But everyone is welcome. It's over 18s, but if you want to bring your kids, that's entirely up to you. That is out of my remit. So it is open to everybody. I mean, the beach is absolutely heaving because everyone's there taking pictures and chatting and having a picnic and hot chocolate. But in terms of distances, there's no distance. It's literally going in. It is March. It is free. It's not freezing, but it's blimmin' chilly. I mean, people might stay in for, I don't know, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Other people's just step on the side on the beach and just whoop around for sort of 10 minutes. So I promise you, Heather, there's no long distances for you. You're going to have to paddle around with the best of us.
Yeah, my artistic skills are a bit limited, so I'll see what I can muster in terms of a hat. But please don't hold me to any creative talent because I have zero.
We can make you one.
Yeah, I'll happily wear whatever creation is made for me. I've got a range of hats as well, but I'll if anybody fancies making a hat, I'm happy to wear it.
We've got a challenge there now.
I'm sure.
We can. Now, Tash, the other thing that we're all going to be involved with is something called Meet the Author. And you have just written a new book, as you mentioned earlier, called Swimming Wild in Southeast England. So can you tell us more about it?
Yes, that's correct. And at the Big Swim is my sort of unofficial launch because that's the first time I'll have the book to sell. So the book, as the title suggests, is about wild swimming in the southeast and covers 10 counties. It has over 100 places you can swim, including London, the home counties, Isle of Wight, and it ranges from rivers, lakes, lidos, the sea, as in Brighton. So Brighton is featured in the book, and so is the Big Swim from last year. And yeah, it's just got anything that you could need if you want to know about swimming, including what to wear, equipment, safety, tides, all of that stuff. So yeah, we'll be talking about the book and other things at the panel beforehand.
Yeah, and that, Nicky, that's a separate ticket, isn't it, for the Big Swim and for our Meet the Author panel event with all of us. So tell us about how they get tickets for that.
Okay, so under the Big Swim, we've got the Big Swim and we've got the panel talk. And the idea is that we get together women that are, doing their thing, leading the way in writing books about adventure, and women doing their, getting out in the open spaces. And inspiring other women. So that's on in the morning. So that's before the swim. So you need to buy your tickets for that. And I think if you've got show notes, we can put them up in the links in the show notes. For the swim is one and the author's link is another. So the idea is you go along to visit you guys in the morning, say hello to you, listen to you, buy the books, then have a cup of coffee and then come and join us on the beach. So you can sort of make a long day of it, really.
It's going to be very exciting. I can't wait till everyone comes to join us. Now, I will be talking about my new book, which actually is officially launching on the 20th of March, called Your Joyful Years. And I interviewed 50 thriving women over 50 who we talked about lots of things. We talked about happiness, joy, exercise, being in nature, relaxing. Swimming came up a lot, and being near water. So there was lots of women that relaxed and were very happy being near water, but not necessarily in it. But there were lots of women who also loved being in it. So I can't wait to share that with women. So it's very exciting. I'll be talking about that during the event. Now, Heather, you are doing all this amazing research. So you've been working on the physiology of cold water swimming for many years. So there's lots of myths around this. Can you tell us what actually happens to our body when we're entering cold water?
Okay, yeah. So when we first get into the cold water, everybody starts that whole gasp response. Some people might swear. They might start to, they may find that their breathing's really rapid. You get an increase in heart rate. This is all really normal because your body, your skin temperature is going from a normal skin temperature to something really cold very rapidly. And so it's just a completely normal response to have this change in breathing and heart rate occur as soon as you get in the water. It's something we need to take a note of and be aware of. So getting into the water really slowly is important. So when Nicky says it's just a short dip, some people might put their toes in, some people might gradually get in down at the beach at Bournemouth, not Bournemouth, at Brighton. Must get that right. At Brighton, and then that's absolutely the approach we need to be taking.
Now, Heather, this leads nicely on to safety. We really must consider safety, and you and I are part of a group that talks about this all the time. So how can we really be sure that people are going to be safe in cold water all the time, but also at the big swim?
Okay, so in terms of being safe all of the time, I think it's important before you go swimming just to check that you're physically well. If you swum before, that's fine, but you might have had a cold or you might have been under the weather. So just check that you're well to swim on that day. If for any reason you don't think you are, maybe just get a checkup with the GP. In terms of safety for your swim, make sure you're with other people that know what they're doing and what to expect in the cold water if you've never swum before or dipped. And it's a good opportunity to have, if there's lifeguards on the beach, go and swim in those lifeguarded areas.
And so the big... Sorry, Nicky, carry on.
In terms of the safety for the swim, that's something that, although I made this all up in the middle of the night, as it's grown into something brilliant, I'd always have the safety. So we've got a safety team, and they'll be the ones on the day that if it's too windy or it's unsafe, they will call it off and they'll say, no, we're not going in. There's lifeguards on the beach. There's lifeguards in the water. There is a place we can warm up. There is first aid, and there's a specialist with a cardiac response as well. Plus, it's all risk assessed and it's all insured. So I promise you, it's super, super safe. And they sort of like the safety team will hold everyone back, and then they will allow everyone in the water, and everyone's watching all the time. So there is a really big safety element to it, because I just wouldn't sleep at night if it wasn't, because some people come along and they've not swum before, and then they get in and it is quite, if you haven't done it before, it's what can we say? It's a shock. It's a proper shocker. So, I do say, don't come and do this if you haven't done it before, because echoing what Heather said, there is a degree of, apply some common sense. That it's applying common sense. So it's all safe, and you are welcome, but you must apply common sense. No drugs, no alcohol. Just come with a full of fun, common sense spirit.
Yeah,
and quite a lot of people, they sometimes intend to get in the water, but have just as good an experience watching other people get in the water and staying dry themselves. And I will frequently just go down to the beach and watch people getting in and not get wet myself. So it's whatever you feel like on the day. If you've booked to do for the swim, but think, actually, it's not for me, just come down and enjoy the ambience on the beach.
Yeah, I echo that. Thank you.
Can I just interject that if for some reason the big swim is called off, the panel talk is still going ahead?
So if the weather's bad, we will have a safety team, and we will know the Friday, which is Friday the 13th. Ooh, that's bad, isn't it? Friday the 13th. So Friday the 13th at 1. Sorry. We will have a safety briefing, and if we need to call it off, there's a storm coming through, we will know at that time. Whatever happens, the panel talk will go ahead because it's inside. We've got 50 tickets that are on sale, and it will be inside. So whatever happens, your author talk will be going ahead on the morning. So please do come along. But that will all be, watch social media and watch your emails, and you'll know what's going on.
And I just wanted to add about it's so important to swim our own swim. So if you're normally a dipper and then you're with some friends who want to stay in for 10 minutes, just do what you want to do. It's very individual. We are no pressure. It's not a competition to just stay in the water for as long as we feel comfortable. But I want to introduce Jo. Jo's just arrived. Hi, Jo.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for letting me into the conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Always a pleasure. Jo as well has been on my podcast before. Jo, I just asked a couple of questions to the others that I'll ask you now to catch up. So, Jo, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what drew you to water. I know you're normally on it, but you're also in it.
Yes. So I'm an author. I've written 3 books about about paddleboarding. 2 are beautiful places to paddleboard, and 1 is about the mental well-being and physical well-being of paddleboarding, how it can change our lives. I make short little films. I'm 61. I live with and look after my dad. I live by the sea. And so, yeah, I've always loved the water. I used to be a diver when I was younger. I've kayaked, and mainly now I paddleboard and I swim at sunrise. And I've also just got into a little bit of skinny dipping under full moons. So,
are you keeping your clothes
and
on
I did
on the Brighton Big Swim?
Oh gosh, yes, absolutely. I did make a film about skinny dipping last year. That's why I mentioned it. And I've just done my first ice hole over in Norway, so that was a really amazing experience. So
Well
I can see
done.
Nicky cheering. So yeah, I love it. I've always been around the water and love the water. Yeah.
It was a brilliant movie of you doing your ice plunge. It was absolutely brilliant. So if anyone has missed it, I will put everyone's Instagram link. So please go and watch Jo in the most beautiful surrounding doing her ice dip. So Jo, just to catch up, because I've asked everyone a few questions. So tell us more about you've written 3 books now about paddleboarding. So tell us more about a little bit more about your paddleboarding.
So I came to paddleboarding in 2016. I'd injured my knee and took a lesson as it was a way to sort of start healing my knee, building my core strength, and I loved it. 24th of September 2016, Derwentwater changed my life. And I decided about 2 months later, having had 1 lesson, that I would paddleboard from Liverpool to Leeds, so 128 miles. And I was told it was too hard for a woman of my age. I was only 51, coming up to 52. Oof. I know. Too complex, too boring. So I put the dream away for 3 years. 3 years I put the dream away whilst I built up my confidence. But also in the interim, I went to the funerals of a number of my girlfriends, and only one of them had reached 50. And I just realised really simply that life is very short, very precious. If you have the spark of a dream, you should try and make it happen. So in July 2019, 3 years after that initial sort of lesson, I became the first woman to paddleboard coast to coast. I added an extra 34 miles on and paddleboarded 162 miles, picking up litter, fundraising. We made a film about it called Brave Enough, A Journey Home to Joy. And then in lockdown, had a bit more time on my hands, pitched a book to the same publishers as Natasha, and wrote my first book about beautiful places to paddleboard. That went so well, became a bestseller. They asked me to write another one about beautiful places to paddleboard in the Lake District. That won an award and did so well. And then I wanted to write about the well-being aspects, like we talk about swimming, but the well-being aspects of paddleboarding. So physical, emotional, mental, social, everything that we talk about in swimming, but obviously on a paddleboard and having a different perspective. And so, yeah, that was my 3rd book. So, yeah, steaming along in my 60s now. Or maybe I'll have a rest now, having just come back from cross-country skiing. But, yeah, I just like being outdoors and doing things. I'm not like the most accomplished adventurer, but I just love doing something every day to make me feel good.
I think you're a hugely accomplished adventurer. So yeah, absolutely in awe of what you've been doing. It's brilliant. But you mentioned there about being outside, and I think for many women especially, that freedom of being outside, I think the beautiful effects of the cold water that Heather's told us about, but also the sisterhood of being in our community of swimmers. So I'd like to ask each of us, what do you think about the sisterhood of those women who cold water swim and those that are going to join us at the big swim? Nicky, go first.
I have always absolutely loved the power of women together. You can feel it. You can physically feel it. I ran a networking group for years, and some women would come in. She's really nervous, never been to it before, and give her a few meetings, and you'd watch them blossom like a flower. And I think that's always the same thing. Women are really good at nurturing and enabling and elevating, supporting other women, and I think that's what the sisterhood is all about. And if you're in the sisterhood, I also think there's a power in your voices. I always feel like you're stronger together. And I totally get that. And I can feel it in my heart. I just think it's so much power. Often you're fighting all sorts of other nonsense. But when there's like us five together, you can achieve a lot more. Your reach is wider, your resources are wider, your contacts are wider, your opportunities. So why wouldn't you do that? You embrace the sisterhood. You've got to give. You've got to give, and then what's the expression? What goes around comes around. So I think it's really important, and I also think the sisterhood gives you an opportunity for that playfulness and that fun. I like to let your head down and be silly. As an adult, you don't always have that opportunity to be fun and be silly, and I quite like that sort of side of it. So, totally up for the sisterhood.
When
Heather.
I think that's wonderful, Nick.
Jo,
sorry. No, sorry. I just, if it's okay, I just think that's wonderful, Nicky. When I moved here this time last year, so I live with my dad. I look after my 92-year-old dad. But when I lived here, my heart was broken at the end of a relationship. And I've always swum and dipped here. But I put a message on a WhatsApp group that they swim a little bit further down the coast. And then I got another little message saying, oh, we don't use the WhatsApp group, but would you like to swim with us? And it's some really local women, and they're just so lovely. And our WhatsApp messages sometimes just are crazy. But yesterday they were skinny dipping at full moon. I was in London. And honestly, it's just the joy of it in the sea. And they sort of will just say, look, one of them put a video up and said, I can't watch this without giggling. And just that loveliness when everybody's dealing, as you say, Nicky, with difficult situations, and we've all got demands and life, and we can share it in the sea, knowing it won't go anywhere else. And people are very open to sharing difficult situations. But then in a minute later, we can be talking about, our boobs rolling around as we're in the, you know what I mean? Sort of getting into a swimsuit, or we don't normally talk about our boobs, but you know what I mean? You're getting into a swimsuit, or you're getting out of the swimsuit, or you're walking back to the cottage with just your, I've got a red change robe, and I just take my swimsuit off and walk back, and I'm walking naked and nobody knows, and you're just giggling. It's all that kind of joy and very naturalness. This is making me sound like I take my clothes off all the time, which is so not true, but it's just that joy and sense of spirit that you had when you were younger that you lost because life got too serious. And we've all still got the seriousness, but we can find that joy just supporting each other and being there for each other and just sharing things in the sea that in another setting might take you a long time to get to know that person. I think it's like a shortcut, isn't it? A deep shortcut into conversations that you wouldn't have otherwise. Sorry, I will be dressed on the day, don't you worry.
I was going to say, I will assure everyone that Jo will be dressed on the day. And Jo was one of the women I interviewed for my book as well, because you can see the joy flowing out of her. But also, can I just say, when you skinny dip, your boobs are fantastic. They float, don't they? They're up here.
I don't really have much. I didn't know. But yes, I don't really notice, to be honest. I think because it's the North Sea, I'm in and out very quickly, or a waterfall and it's very, very cold. But next time I will look. Thank you.
Heather, do you want to tell us about community and sisterhood of swimmers?
Yeah, I mean, I can only echo a lot of what Nicky and Jo have already said. And my my friendship group, my community, you're right, you shortcut a lot of experiences and a lot of coming togetherness very quickly by just going into the cold water. And through that, we've faced some pretty big challenges, both personal challenges and challenges that we've put upon ourselves. So things like swimming the English Channel, swimming around Jersey. We've become a real family. We often refer to each other as an extended family, or each other's mistresses or wives and things like that, just because we're together so often and doing things together that we've just realized that we've got a lot more in common than we have different. And they're people that I might never have met had I not been dipping in cold water. So it really is a unique community. And we've dragged in other halves, we've dragged in the children, we've dragged in mums and dads. So, although we're a sisterhood, we're now just part of one big extended family, which is absolutely great.
Lovely. And Tash, sisterhood, community.
So I've always thought there's something magical about being outdoors with just women. I'm part of a group called the Adventure Queens, and lots of people are drawn to the events that they hold, just because with women you can be more supported, you can be there's not the ego and the competition that you sometimes get with men. And yeah, I love swimming. I swim with the Blue Tits, which is for men and women, but it's mainly women. And I've made some of my best friends through that group. We swim together all the time. I've told deep, dark secrets in the water because I know that they'll be held there. And as with Jo, I love skinny dipping in the moonlight. It's one of my favourite things to do. We just get in the water, take our costumes off in the water, and then in a really strange way put them back on in the water. But yeah, the boobs floating around is a thing, and when the big moon is shining I can expose a little bit too much. But it's all just women, and we're all just women together, and yeah, there's something magical about it.
Fantastic. Now we're just going to finish off now. We didn't want to make a really long podcast. We could talk forever. You know what women are like. But Heather, I wanted to ask you about a bit of your research. So you've been doing a long time now. You've been doing a brilliant study about looking at specifically about depression and cold water swimming. And I know that you can't tell us too much about the data yet. Every time I see you, I'm trying to prise a bit more about you. But can you tell us a little bit about the study that you're doing?
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much, Joyce. Myself and my colleague Hannah Denton, who lives in Brighton, have been working with Sussex Partnership NHS Foundation Trust on a clinical trial looking to see if a swimming course could be used as an intervention for people living with symptoms of depression. And we've been working in this area for around 10 years to get to the point of doing a clinical trial. So lots of people have, they've got lots of anecdotal experience, lots of experiences of people who've said they've had, a transformation from their aquatic activity in cold water, being outside. And, GPs can't really prescribe outdoor swimming in any way, shape, or form without having really robust and rigorous evidence. And that's what we're trying to support and provide, is something that we can start to hang our hat on a little bit. We're not trying to medicalise outdoor swimming at all, and we recognise that that there is a place for people needing medications or therapies for their symptoms, but there's also a place for other activities. So that's outdoor swimming, being outside, walking, whatever you enjoy doing could be useful or could be helpful for your symptoms of depression. And so we're starting to look into this. So it was a call from the research arm of the NHS, and we thought, well, go big or go home, basically. And we're 2 years into a 2.5 year study. So I don't have any information I can give you other than the fact that we are on tenterhooks about the findings, because obviously we're hoping to find that it's clinically effective and cost effective, because that might pave the way for GP surgeries to ask swimming coaches to take groups into the water to support them with their mental health. So we've been big advocates for a long time of outdoor swimming, but doing it safely and doing it to support people, as Nicky was saying, to refine play. And that's really what our swim sessions are all about when we have people with symptoms of depression going into the water. It's a safe enjoyment of water. And that's hopefully what we'll find some interesting findings towards the end of this year.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't
fingers
wait.
crossed.
And Heather and I were involved in a study because I'd heard so many women that I swim with tell me that they felt the swimming helped their menstrual and menopause symptoms. And again, as Heather said, it may be the community, it may be being outside, it may be the exercise, it may be the cold water, but we wanted to just ask them how they felt. We did ask them which of those they felt were the most important, if they felt that this activity helped their menstrual and menopause symptoms. So all that work's been published, but I will be talking about that a bit more at Meet the Author. But I just wanted to ask everybody now how they... I at the end of my podcast, I always ask everyone what makes them happy and where is their happy place. And to all of you, it doesn't need to be water at all. It could be anything. So, Nicky, let me start with you. Nicky, what makes you happy and where's your happy place?
Obviously, it goes without saying, because I'll get told off if you don't say the family. We have to say the family, but I love my boys. But actually, just me being on my own, I really like being in really cold places. Like Jo, I've just come back from a trip in very cold Sweden. I really like pushing myself in a cold place, and it's like -15. I've got a flask of tea in my bag, and I've got digestives in my pocket, and I'm whatever I'm doing, like the cross country skiing, and I'm just thinking, Nicky, this is so good. I'm so proud of you. I just love it. I just love it. And I could feel myself like tingling from the inside out. So it's always somewhere cold. It's always somewhere remote. It's got to have an element of challenge in it. And I just think, I'm just so happy. I could literally, my head would pop off if it could.
I love that. Tasha, tell us.
I love being on a beach or in the forest. Like Nicky, I love extremes. So for me, it has to be like really hot or really cold. I love the snow. And yeah, being with my family and friends, but also being on my own.
Jo, I know you do a lot about joy in all of your Instagram posts. You've done that for many, many years. So tell us what makes you happy and where's your happy place?
I would say, I mean, I really love being at home. I love being like living with my dad, looking after my dad. I love it when my boys visit, when my sister visits, when my nieces and the rest of the family come. And then I love it when I then say, okay, I'm just going for a swim or I'm just going for a paddle. And I think like Nicky, I always think, there's this real emphasis that we have to live the best version of ourselves. And I find that quite onerous, but when I'm in the water, it's my favorite version of myself. It's one where I'm just very absorbed in the moment, or cross country skiing like Nicky said, and it's that favorite version, which is I'm feeling brave but also excited and curious and proud of myself, because I think in your 50s and 60s there's very little sort of, when you're younger, you have accomplishments, don't you, that you can say, I'm proud of this. But in your 50s and 60s, unless you do projects that you can then say, I'm proud of myself for, they're not as people aren't looking to give you praise that much, I don't think, at this age. And so when I'm out doing things like the cross country skiing, like paddleboarding, like dipping, I feel a sense of pride in myself. I just feel I'm proud. I'm proud of the person that I'm becoming and the obstacles that I've gone through to be here. And just joyful and a little bit messy and just very much a sense of confidence in who I am, which I don't always have, but somehow being in nature gives me that confidence and an opportunity to contribute with beach cleans or just supporting other people. So it just offers so much, doesn't it, to become the person that maybe you were when you were 8, 9, or 10 and got buried in life, and then think in your 50s and 60s you can rediscover her and just, like you say, be playful and joyful and try and do the things today to look after me at 80, which is only 19 years away, which is terrifying. Yeah, that's terrifying, isn't it?
Don't think about it. Don't think about it. We're we're having fun. We're having fun. Heather,
Yeah.
what makes you happy? Where's your happy place?
I suppose for me, it's just it sounds so simple, but just I spend a lot of time indoors. You know, we work. We're always indoors, just being outside for 5 minutes, looking at the sky, looking at the green, hearing nature. I just want to bottle that so that it makes the indoor part of my life manageable, doable, and you just cherish the moments you get to be outside in nature with people or on your own.
I'll do mine. Thank you, everyone. I'll do that. So this year, I've got 2 words for the year. One of them is embrace, which has several different meanings, but one of them is sisterhood. That's why I was bringing it up earlier as well. And for me, this year, it's listening to women of all ages and trying to make sure that we can support each other to have good health and happiness in our lives. So I think it's so important. And us people that swim, I think we're at a big advantage anyway. Not everyone wants to get in the water. They're not all crazy like us. But whatever makes a woman happy and healthy, really looking after their health, I think is really important. So that's what this year for me, that's going to be my happy place, when I'm with some sisters and we're just being happy. So I'm going to let the final word go to Nicky, because she's the boss. So Nicky, anything else you want to say about our wonderful Meet the Authors at our panel event and the big swim in Brighton?
I think come along and meet all the women on the beach. And you can be part of something that's very special that you will walk away with, and you'll feel it in your heart and you'll feel it in your bones, and it will really, really lift your spirit. Come along to the authors panel and be inspired. And I don't think it's the expression, you can't be what you can't see. And I want the women in that audience to be listening to you thinking, I can be what I can see. And that is what the big swim, both of the events, is all about.
Fantastic. Brilliant. And please come and say hello to us. I hope everyone else agrees on the panel. Please come and say hello. I'd love everyone to, I know it's not everyone's thing, but you can take a selfie with me for sure. Have a hug. I'm a hugger. Not everyone's a hugger. Check first, but you can come and hug me and take my photo with me. If you don't want to hug, check first. But we hope to see you on Saturday, the 14th of March in Brighton. And thank you for our wonderful panel for coming on today. And I'm just so looking forward to, I'm going to be in Brighton for the whole weekend, for a wonderful weekend in Brighton. Thank you all very much.